For the next level chart, what we want to focus is not only interaction, but also bring into the attention of our top and bottom performers. For this level 2 and then the level 3 chart, we will use both pivot tables and some of the Excel formulas to calculate things. So we need to go back to the data and notice that this is our report. This pivot table will give you everything. And our top 3 values, let's say we just want to highlight our top 3 performers, are the first 3 rows. Because there is no easy way to highlight things within a pivot chart, we need to move away from a pivot chart and make a regular type of chart. The first step that we will do is we'll set up an area for our level 2 calculations. And then within here, we will select the pivot report. So just the first 10 rows of the report that has my salesperson name and the amount. Control C, right click here and then paste as a link. Notice that this is a link. So this value is still linked to pivot table. Whatever is my pivot table value, that's what this will be. The advantage of it doing like this is if I change the geography or I do something, then these values automatically change. So now we will just put some headers here and then we will say top 3. Top 3 is gonna be the first 3 cells. And then everything else need to be just empty. We don't need any values there. Likewise, if you want to also show bottom 3, this is gonna be these 3 cells. Let's add some borders around all of this so we know what we are working with. So this is my calculation area. The beauty of all of this is it is still linked to the pivot table. So if my pivot changes or when I refresh my data, this will automatically calculate. There is a limitation with this approach though, which is if you add some new people at the bottom, let's say you bring in another salesperson, then this calculation grid needs to change. But for now, we are stuck with these 10 people, so it's all good. Next up, we will select these 3 values and insert a bar chart. And we will end up with a graph like this. So it will show not only everybody's names and then their values. The value itself is in blue color, but bottom 3 is the gray color and top 3 is the orange color. But we don't need 3 bars. What we need is the top 3 or the bottom 3 bar to stay on the front if it is available. So we just select either of these and then set the series overlap to 100%. What this will do is it will move the bars one on top of another. If there is no top or bottom colors, then the blue color is what we see. So that is the first problem fixed. While we are here, we can also set the gap width. Let's just set it with 50% so that everything is nice and thick. The second problem is within the original table, my data is arranged in the descending order. So Gigi's name shows all the way on the top. But within the bar chart, Gigi's name goes to the bottom. And that calls for the perfect dad joke. A bar chart goes to the bar. The bartender asks, "Why are you upside down?" So to reverse the ordering of these things, we can select the vertical axis here, go to the axis format options, axis options, and then enable the categories in reverse order option. This will kind of flip the chart so that Gigi will go to the top. Next up, let's adjust the colors. At these kind of colors, everything looks same importance. Let's say we want the focus to be on the top 3 items. So I'm gonna pick these 3 colors, these 3 bars, and then change them to that green color. And then we'll pick the blue ones. We'll tone them down to that color. And then the bottom 3, I'm just gonna change to this. So in this way, the focus is either on top or bottom, and the middle ones are kind of there, but not really getting the focus. Next up, I'm gonna delete this legend here and then make my own legend with the help of the chart title. So we'll move the chart title to the left, double click, type sales performance, top 3, bottom 3, and rest. Next, we'll select the individual bits, top 3, and then change the color to green, bottom 3, change the color to orange, and rest so that the colors kind of tie in together with this. Finally, we'll just select all of these and apply currency formatting. You can right click and go to the number format, or you can press Ctrl+Shift+4 to apply the dollar formatting. There is too much precision going on, so I'll reduce that. And again, we will apply the same logic as earlier, set the major unit to 10,000. Once this is done, Let's move this to a new page. So we'll add another worksheet, cut the chart, Control X, paste it here. Let's make it nice and big. And there is our level 2 chart. What about the interaction though? The interaction is still controlled by this slicer. So if I click on India here, I'm seeing the India performance here, but also India performance here. That seems a bit lame. So let's move the slicer over here as well. We could do one of the two things because we still need the interaction here. So I will leave the slicer here, Control C and Control V. So now you have two slicers, one on each page, but they are also linked to each other. So if I pick Canada on this slicer, this one will also be set to Canada. While this is all good, it still feels like the chart and slicer are two separate things. So let's make it feel like everything is together in one happy family. We'll start by disabling grid lines so that everything is gone and it looks like a white blank canvas. Next up, we'll pick the chart and format and then just set the outline to no outline so that the chart itself has no outline. Next, we will take the slicer, move it like this. Because our countries are not very long names, this kind of a width would do. Next up, we just need one country selection at a time. We don't need that header there. So right click on the slicer, go to slicer settings and uncheck display header option. So we have this blue box. Now notice that the slicer has this kind of a blue color scheme going on. Nowhere else on the report I'm using the blue color. So I will select this slicer, go to slicer ribbon, and from here I will change this to that gray color so that it kind of looks a little bit toned down. And then we'll go to insert, click on shape, click on the rectangle shape and then draw a big rectangle around the whole thing. When you are drawing these kind of rectangles or making charts or moving them, if you hold down the Alt key, it'll automatically snap to the cell grid. Once this is added, we will just fill up with no color, but let's make the outline nice and strong. So there is our chart. If you want, you can also fill up with some color. So for example, if you fill with some color, then that box is, because it is in the front, it kind of blocks the rest of the view. But then you can select the box and then send to back so that it goes behind the chart. So when you are filling the color, then it is important that you need to set your chart shape fill to no fill so that it is becoming transparent.